Good morning, everybody. I'm Vincenzo Calla, president of OHSCA, and I'm glad that you are able to join us today. Today, we are glad to have the CPC candidate for Fredericton joining us, Andrea Johnson. Andrea was born in Hamilton, Ontario, and moved to New Brunswick when she was 6 years old. She is a business professional with over 20 years of business development experience, with 10 of those in economic development, having recruited over 30 international companies and delivered almost 2,000 full-time jobs to New Brunswick during her career with the provincial government. And Andrea volunteers her time on the softball field with the Special Olympics and is the executive director of the PC Party of New Brunswick. Andrea ran in the Fredericton 2019 election, in 2019, and she lost by 791 votes, which was a very close race. So thank you, Andrea, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're glad to have you today, and we always like to start off the interview with a question and answer segment with 4 questions asked by our high school members from across Ontario and across Canada. So the first question comes from the OHSCA team, and we ask, how can the Conservative Party appeal to more environmentalists? We know that the Green Party candidate, when she was the Green Party candidate, won in Fredericton last time, and it's obviously an important issue to the people of Fredericton. So how do you think we can appeal to them?
Well, I think great question, and it's something that I've asked myself a lot. In this riding, we are a very diverse riding. We're urban and rural, and one of the biggest triggers for the votes towards the Green Party is in 2018 and in 2019 we had back-to-back what's called a 100-year flood. And so that impacted and scared a lot of people. And so it should. There are a lot of reasons for the flood over and above climate change, but that impacted this area a lot. And I think that, coupled with the fact that our environmental plan in 2019, the platform it didn't inspire me. And obviously it didn't inspire enough in my riding. And I think, so how do we bring more, environmentalists or conservationists to the party? Well, we are it's conserve. It's in our name. It should be a lot easier than what it is. And I think we have to look at, we have to look at the science. I think our party's been branded as a party that doesn't believe climate change is real. And I think when we focus on questions that are divisive like that, then it forces you to pick one side or the other, as opposed to picking or coming at it from a perspective that's inclusive and collaborative. So, because if I asked you, well, do you believe climate change is real? Well, that creates a divide. If I asked you, do you love your environment? Yes, right? Do you care about your environment? Absolutely. So let's stop debating on these divisive questions and start focusing on the fact that you can't, if I ask that question to 100 people, I can tell you right now, I'm not going to have one person say to me, I hate the environment. I burn tires in my yard just for funsies. People don't say that, because everyone cares about the place that they live. Everyone cares about the environment on some level. And so I think by getting out of this automatic argument, focus on the collaboration piece and the inclusiveness and the fact that, yes, we all care about the environment. And I think that changes perspectives. It changes it from a debate to collaboration. And I think that's key. The other thing is that, a big base of our support is out west, and rightly so. But the fact that, the way that the perception's been created is that if you say out loud that you believe in climate change, it means that you want our economy to fail. And that's not right either. Again, another divisive way to look at it. And for me, everything, I believe, should be about balance. We have to balance our economy with the needs of our environment, and we can't forsake one for the other. So I think, looking at the same issue differently, a little less combative, from a more collaborative and inclusive perspective, I think that changes a lot of how we attract people. Who's going to come join the Conservative Party if we're still fighting whether climate change is real or not? You know what I mean? Like, move past that, and let's focus on areas where we can come to the table together with everyone, from fishers to farmers, First Nations. Everyone needs to be at the table as it relates to our environment. And I think that's coming at it from that approach, I think will help attract more people that are concerned with our environment.
Well, we saw at the convention that it was a great convention, the Conservative Party convention a while back, and there was lots of great ideas that were brought up. It showed that our party is turning a new leaf, that we will be the party for all Canadians, that Canadians can vote for real change and to secure the future, as the party slogan is right now. And unfortunately, out of that whole convention, that whole 3 days of great ideas and great everything, the biggest thing that the media and that non-conservatives took from it was that one little soundbite that
Yep.
wasn't even a complete soundbite, like when we talked with Garnet Jenis about how people were thinking that the Conservative Party doesn't believe in climate change just because we weren't adding that line,
I
where
know.
in fact that's not even true, because it's already in the policies, and that was just an amendment to the policy to add that one
Right.
line, and the people decided that it wasn't necessary to put that line because it's already basically in the policy.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
it's,
I
yeah,
know. And then we get painted,
exactly.
and it's just, and again, it's to me, it's how, I mean, we own the fact that if we cannot attract, environmentalists and conservationists to our party, that's not on anybody else, that's on us. And that's on us to create an environment where we talk the talk and we walk the walk, and we want to be open to people coming in with those ideas. And again, we all know the media is never going to be our friend, so if there's one snippet, one soundbite that they can grab, they're going to run with it. And so we all need to be cognizant of that.
That's exactly it. And we're going to go on to the next question. And actually, before we go on the next question, I'm going to mention that I think that it's important that environmentalists can realize that they are welcome in the party as well, because we are putting forward a better, stronger environmental plan as a party. And we're not going to go over that now, obviously, but go check that out on the Conservative website. It's there. Make sure to go look at that. So we're going to go on to the next question, which is from Jairi in Brampton. And he asks, do you believe that China's government is a threat, and how should we combat them, especially as we see an economic rise and the different issues that we're seeing, the two Michaels and the Winnipeg lab sort of idea. So what do you think?
I think when Canada's in a situation or in a position where we have to heavily rely on another country, I think that's the problem. Whether I believe that the Chinese government is a threat, there's always going to be those situations, regardless of the country, whether it be, Russia or Iran or whomever it is, it is the topic of the moment. I think, again, focusing on how do we move through this as opposed to focusing on a divisive issue, I think the more self-sustainable and self-reliant Canada becomes as a country, then the less we are into China for, basically. Right now, Canada unfortunately relies way too heavily on a country that I don't believe has Canada's best interest at heart. And again, that's not their job. Their job is to manage the best interests of their own country. So that's what we need to be doing here, as opposed to, all the stuff that has happened with the two Michaels, with the Winnipeg lab. All of those issues are only because of how reliant we are on China. And I know, I've listened to our leader, to Aaron O'Toole's plan on that, securing our future. And that's a big piece of it. We can't be into anybody for what we are. I mean, the amount of our debt that China holds is crazy. So to me, that's the focus. What can we do to get Canada as self-sufficient as possible so that we are not relying on anyone if necessary?
Well, that's exactly it. And we know that Aaron O'Toole has a pretty strong stance on China, especially during his campaign. He took a really, his leadership campaign, he took a really strong stance. It wasn't hidden that he was going to be strong on China as the leader and if he becomes prime minister. And I think that's a welcome change, especially after we see
Yeah,
Justin Trudeau and his real closeness with China, and who knows why he's super, super close with them. But I know that our Conservative Party isn't going to be as, how do you say it, ignorant as
right.
I'd like to convince myself that it's plain ignorance on the part of the current government and the current prime minister. Whether that's the case, I'm not sure, but I think that we need to go forward and really examine who we're doing trade with, trade with their friends, like when we were talking with Carrie Lynn Finley about Kanzuk, and working with our
Right.
closest partners, working with the UK, working with Australia and New Zealand, working with the US, working with all of our close
Right.
friends. That's
Leverage those partnerships that already align with us.
exactly. So the third question, actually the third and fourth question are sort of a two-part question from Jack, but I decided I was going to split them into two questions just so we can focus on each one. So the first question from Jack is, what was it like in 2019 when the then Green candidate won? We know that it was Jenica Atwin. She won for the Green Party back then. It was kind of historic because she was a Green Party candidate and there's not many. But how was it in 2019 when she won as a Green candidate?
It sucked. It was it was horrible. And I mean, it was a very, very, very tight three-way race. The Liberal incumbent came third. And then the fight was between Jenica and I. And like I said, there was a lot of factors in play in 2019. Greta Thunberg was doing her, as a third party campaigner after the writ was dropped in Canada, which is a violation of the federal act. So riddle me that. Anyway, there was a lot. There was a huge focus on the environment, which absolutely there needs to be. And for some reason, 2019 was the year of the earth, and instead of it being that focus all the time. And so there was that factor. There also, internally, the dynamics of this riding. I mean, Jenica's father is a very, very popular and well-loved mayor of one of the second largest urban area in my riding. And so even though, I did win, I think almost all the polls in area, it's called Ormukto, as a Green candidate. She took, and it's a military town. It's the second largest training facility in the Commonwealth. So, I mean, those are, historically, those are our supporters. But so as a Green candidate, she pulled way more votes than she ever should have out of a military town. The second factor, they had two polls on the university, one at the top of the hill, one at the bottom of the hill, and she killed me. Like, she killed me. They came out, they clogged the lines. It was a very concerted effort, and the students came out last minute and clogged the lines for the last hour and a half for anyone else to vote. So, I mean, and it's a huge, it's a government town. It's also, we have two universities and two community colleges. So very, very heavy on the students, and we don't sit well with the students. I think historically, we've not been looked at as the choice, the preferred choice for anyone under the age of 35. And those are things that issues that Jenica didn't have, listen, she's extremely well spoken. She's a very nice person, and you just can't not like her, when she speaks. So there was a lot of things in play. I think this time around, the second part to your question, I think it is going to be a lot different. I think she has upset a lot of her base by crossing the floor. She's upset a lot of her new family with the constant iterations of statements that she's put out. It's like version 1.1, and then it's 1.12, and then it's 1.13, and oh wait, no, I didn't mean that. I meant, okay, wait, no,
I
I'm
meant
gonna
it
say
when I was a
this
Green Party
today.
candidate, but not when I'm a liberal. That statement
Right.
about Israel and all that, about her tweet and all that.
And the
Exactly.
fact is that with her on that topic itself, I mean, she was thinking about defecting in middle of March. I mean, and everyone in the riding knows that was middle of March conversation around town, not June with the Israel-Palestine situation. So it'll be interesting. Floor crossers, it doesn't normally work out, but these days, how would you know?
You
Just
never
the
know
way.
these days. You never know.
No, I don't question anything. Like I said, I honestly, in 2019, it was at the doors. The last few weeks, you could feel a shift. Overwhelmingly, we knocked over 25,000 doors, and overwhelmingly, the message was the same: Trudeau has to go. Trudeau has to go. Trudeau has to go. That was the underlying theme, and I think voting Green was a safe vote. And I think that's, people were not sure of our leader at the time, Andrew Scheer. It seemed to be, he was and in a position where he was defending himself quite a bit. And if you're explaining, you're losing. And so, that hurt us quite a bit here. And so when you're not sure of that leader, but this guy's got to go, then you're going to one of the fringe parties. And I think it was a perfect storm for her in 2019, and she benefited from it. I'm hesitant to say the stars will align the same way this time, because I don't believe that they will.
Well, there's a couple things from what you said that I want to pick up on. One, the youth, that is definitely an issue in our party. I saw a poll recently about how the Conservatives are pretty much tied or quite leading with a lot of the age groups, especially the older age groups, except for 18 to 29 or something, where we're third behind the NDP and the Liberals. No, or the Liberals and the NDP, or one of the two. I think it's actually NDP, then Liberals and Conservatives, but I'm not
Probably,
quite sure. But I think that's what we need to work on. That's what here at OHSCA we try to do from a young age. The high school students, get them involved in politics, see that they can get involved, see if they align with the Conservative Party. And I also think that, on your note of sort of that, all the aligning things, I think that this time, especially with her crossing the floor, we're actually going to ask the fourth question in a minute, but I think that people need to really realize who's running in their riding now, see what everybody has to offer, see what you have to offer as the candidate. I hope that once the election rolls around, people will be watching this video to sort of meet you, see what you have to say in the riding, see what you have to say for the young people. And I think that's basically it. I mean, yeah, I'll go on to the next question because we can talk more about it. So Jack wants to ask for a second part of the question, which I made the fourth question, is what do you think are the keys to winning Fredericton in the next election?
Well, I think we definitely need a stronger environmental plan than what we had in 2019, which I don't think will be too hard to come up with something a bit stronger. And I mean, for me here, I think all the points that we said are going to be in play. She's no longer the naive, innocent, sweet girl next door. I mean, she's made a political move and it's backfired. And then she try to make another political move, and that backfired, and so on and so on. So I think, that aspect it won't be there this time around. But I think people need to, I think the younger generation, like your generation, 18 and older. I mean, I have 4 kids. They're 18. No, that's a lie. My youngest is 20, 21, 22, and almost 24. And federally, they know they have to vote for me. But provincially, I tell them you can vote any way you want as long as it's not liberal or green. And so they're not conservatives. They're not young conservatives. And so I use them as my sounding board a lot of the times to say, okay, so what is it? What is it? And honestly, at the end of the day, a lot of it is just, well, I heard that you guys are like this, or I know one guy, he's a conservative and he's like that, and those types of things where, my kids are very, very independent. They're very outspoken, very strong-willed. And as that, is what you want to see in that age group. And part of it for me is, the understanding of, from an ideological perspective, a conservative party would actually align with that age group more than any other, because it's, when I went to UNB in 2019 for the debate, and I spoke to this room of students and I said, you guys, it's your job right now, at this stage of your life, to challenge government, to challenge the man, like, stay out of my business, leave me alone, let me do my own thing, stop telling me how to spend my money, stop telling me how to live my life. What does that sound like? That's the Conservative Party ideology, like, that's, so we should be more aligned with that age group than what we are. And so to me, that is a big focus this time around, is trying to find ways, for that age group to trust who I am as a human being, and the fact that I am, I do care about the environment. I mean, I'm a huge outdoors person. I'm a licensed guide, and, people that spend their spare time hunting and fishing, usually care the most about the environment, because as soon as the environment is not there, I can no longer hunt and fish. And so it is about conservation. And I guess just continuing to send that message, and continuing to try to fight off the historical thoughts of what a conservative actually is. And I think that's, I need to get at that age group, that have typically never voted for us. And if I can tap into that, then I believe, that's also going to be key in me winning the next time the election is called. Outside of that, I'm going to work. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work hard every day to try to connect and meet people, and you have to build trust with people. And in 2019, I mean, Jenica had ran provincially the year before, so in a riding that is part of this federal riding. So she had, a little bit ahead of me in terms of getting out there and having your name recognition and whatever. I mean, I was a single mom for years, so my job was working and looking after my kids. And now that they're all grown and at a university, that's when I decided, or in a university, that's when I decided that I was going to get into politics. And so 2019, no one knew who I was either. So I think this time around, that will definitely make a difference as well. So I wish there was one magic bean, but there's probably 4 or 5 that I'm hoping, if we all continue to work hard, we all continue to provide the right message, then hopefully all the stars, I believe the stars will align.
Well, there's so many good things that you said in there that I definitely can't unpack all of them. I mean, I try to get to as much as I can, but there's obviously so much that you talked. First of all, it's that, again, reaching out to young people, showing them that they can be a conservative. Like Aaron O'Toole showed that picture on Instagram that a lot of people were kind of thought it was cheesy, but I think it was really good. When you look in the mirror, you see yourself as a conservative. I think that's important too. I mean, a lot of people, like you said, especially young people, have that idea of, I don't want government in my life. I think smaller government is better. And I think that the government has a specific role and that they shouldn't be intruding too much, especially now during COVID. We see a lot more of that. I mean, there's not much of a choice by the government, but a lot more of the government being in our lives, and people are tired of that. And people
Yep.
need to recognize that the Conservative Party is the party that they want. They just don't realize it. And again, it's those
That's it.
preconceived notions from former politicians or people that claim to be conservative and make stupid comments or something like that, that
Yep.
taints the party. And then the media as well. The media plays a big part in those
Yeah.
preconceived notions. So it's really something that we need to combat. Not only is our party combating Justin Trudeau and the Liberal Party and Jagmeet Singh and his NDP party, and then whatever other party and bloc in Quebec and all that, but we're also combating the media. I mean, we saw that the CBC tried to bring our party to court during the past election. I think it was just
I
recently
know.
that it was dismissed, but during the last election, when they were supposed to be fairly reporting, they brought the Conservative Party to court. So that just shows that it's not just a battle and a campaign against the other parties, but it's also working to overcome the media as well, and
Yeah.
the amount of pressure the media has. So our last segment is called Advice for the Next Generation. We ask this to every single person that comes on the show, and we speak of young conservatives and how they can get more involved. So we just like to ask, what do you think young high school conservatives can do in order to get involved and more politically active, and what is one piece of advice you would give them?
So I believe that if you want to get involved, I mean, you need to reach out to your local EDAs and your provincially, your riding associations. You know, and I think it's important that if you believe, you know, conservatism is the or Conservative Party is the party for you, then you need to research. You need to do your homework, and you need to make sure that you understand. You know, people say, well, I got involved because I thought that it stood for this. Well, we stand for a whole lot of stuff, you know, and so to make sure that you understand what the party stands for, and then that way you can also articulate the message to bring other people in, with the message being in its entirety, not the pieces that I like. I don't like that one, but I really like that one. I'm just going to go with that one. No, it's, you know, we are a big tent party, absolutely. But in order to be a part of the big tent party, you have to be aware that we are a big tent party. And so I think doing your homework and getting involved, those are, you know, reach out to your local riding association. I mean, that's the only two ways that I can think of to continue to spread the message. And then the one piece of advice I would give, this is just in general, not necessarily
Yeah,
political.
anything, political, in general, life advice, whatever, a piece of advice you would give them. Some advice for the next generation.
The number one piece of advice that I would give is don't procrastinate. And that is something that at almost 48 years old, it's something that I didn't master until way too late in life. And the minute I started practicing it consistently was the minute that my entire life changed. And so procrastination, and everyone says the same thing, well, I work better under pressure. No one works better under pressure. That is a lie that we tell ourselves because we procrastinated.
You can get it done. Will it be the best work? No, but
right.
You'll get it done. But
exactly. The best gift you can give yourself is, if something's worth doing, it's worth doing right, and it's worth doing right now. And that's my advice.
That's some great advice. And again, just get involved with your EDA, especially now. At the time of this filming, we're in crunch mode now. The Conservative Party is in crunch mode. All the EDAs are in crunch mode, trying to figure out who's going to be their candidate. Chances are you'll be watching this. Someone that's watching this will be during an election. You'll be watching this. So it really is important to get involved with your EDA. Make sure that you have a candidate ready for your next election, because that election is coming sooner than ever, I'm sure. So I'm sure we will have a new government. The 44th Parliament will go in session before the end of the year, I'm sure. So election 44 is coming. So get prepared and work with your EDAs. So that is great. We thank you, Andrea, for your time today. We really appreciate you being with us, and we wish you on your future endeavors and all your future elections. So that is it. We hope you enjoyed today's interview. You can look for more videos coming soon. Make sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok accounts at Ontario OHS Cons for more great content. Make sure to look at our website at ontariohsconservatives.org to learn more about us, see our projects, and for more great content. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell so you never miss another video. And we hope to see you all soon. Thanks for coming.